Hello gang, so we're here today, Sunday of Thanksgiving week, and we're gonna get started on the Thruhulls. As you can see, we already dropped the rudder, took the propeller out, and, so we're gonna start doing the prep work to get the Thruhulls back in. The original Thruhulls, let me show you. As you can see, the valves and the Thruhulls were so corroded, we had no way of servicing them. Every time we tried to take them apart, the bolts would break and strip. There was no way to get any kind of action or movement, and they were just deteriorated to the point that they were crumbling in your hands. So we had to grind the mushroom portion of the Thruhull in order to pop them into the inside of the boat with a stick, and that's how we remove all the Thruhulls from the boat so we can replace them. But in the process of grinding those mushrooms, because of where they are in the angle of the hull, I took some chunks of fiberglass. So we have to fix that in order to reset those Thruhulls. So I'm replacing those with Marelon, and I'll show you those once we start doing the installation. But the advantage of those is that it's going to be a two-part process. So I'm going to have a component that's just a Thruhull, and then I'm going to have the valve on top. So if the valve goes bad, I don't have to take the whole Thruhull apart. I just have to take the valve off and put a new valve in. So that should make it a lot easier to maintain going forward. So I'll give you a little close-up of how things ended up here with the rudder and prop area. And we'll get cranking on the, fixing up the fiberglass so we can get the Thruhulls put back in. So let's take a look. So what you're seeing here is the Thruhull for the rudder post. And what this is a piece of steel or bronze, depending on what brand you have, that comes into this hole in the fiberglass and is screwed up on top where you have the stuffing box for the rudder post. So you can see they had stuck some, it looks like 5200 in here, and we need to clean this up, check the condition, and hopefully I won't have to change that Thruhull. Here you can see how the Skeg, that metal bracket that you saw in my previous video, mounts in, and you have a key slot in here where the key prevents the bracket from moving sideways. So this key and the bracket mounted here prevents that from happening, so it keeps the rudder straight so it turns on its axle. Last but not least, we have our shaft, and you can see how the strut that holds the shaft is also in pretty sad shape. You have some damage here from low-level electric current. So I'm gonna take that off and have it inspected. The Cutlass bearing is good, but I don't know how old it is, so I'm gonna change it again. It's contained here. So we're gonna have to grind this out, take 4 bolts out of the inside of the boat, grind this out, and then this will drop. But we need to get the shaft out of the boat first before we do that. And that's another job because the coupling is heavily corroded, just like everything else on the boat. So we're gonna have to work that one out and get it ready to come out. So here's our first Thruhull. You can see that it got a little bit jagged from grinding the mushroom out. So what we're gonna do is reglass this to flush, or just a little bit below flush, because it really should sit inwards a little bit more. And then we'll go ahead, and once that repair is completed, we'll go ahead and put the new Thruhulls in. Hey guys, this is Taylor. Taylor, say hi.
Hey, what's up?
Taylor is giving me a big hand with fixing the Thruhulls today. He does work on his own. He also works over with Sarasota Marine Services. So if you need a hand, I'll put his number underneath if you're here in Florida. Over here, you can see that we grinded the holes, and now we're putting epoxy and we're going to use shop strand to basically bring it back up to level. And that's going to be pretty much what we do today on this one's, on the 4 that we have to fix. We need to give it time to cure and let it dry before it can grind it, and not grind it but sand it, so we can put the Thruhull in. So this one we're already putting the shop strand on. This hull is actually pretty thick, and what we're using is a West system to do the repairs. So, and with these, you start with a you know, the outside, start with a big piece first, and then use smaller pieces until you fill the hole back up to level. On the inside, clean up most of the goop. We still gotta get a rag. All right, so we're here at the cockpit. You're gonna have to excuse the mess, but we have to pretty much have everything on the boat, or keep all the materials. So everything right now is a little bit of a mess. So we have wiring hanging out that I'm rewiring the running lights. We have some of the compartments open where we're doing the Thruhulls. Still got some engine work, but you can see down there, you know, if you look at the amount of space we have here to work, it's not much. So having a 2-piece Thruhull and valve makes sense, because it's a little easier to remove if you have to, and to do any kind of repair. So that's the raw water engine intake. Over here, that right there is our waste tank dump if we're outside 3 miles. That's on the starboard side. And on the port side, we have the kitchen sink Thruhull. So you notice that the ones for the intake are only about 3/4 of an inch. The ones for the outflow are 1.5 inch Thruhulls, actually 2-inch Thruhulls. The last one that we're working on is here in the V-berth, and right now it's packed with materials and life jackets and all that. And that's the raw water intake for the head, but actually the previous owner installed a 12,000 BTU AC. Let's see if I can show you that. There's the grid for it. It's actually under all of that. And he repurposed the raw water intake from the head to use for the air conditioner. So we're going to actually use fresh water that we're going to use for the head. We can carry about 200 liters on the boat. Actually, on this compartment here, there is a bladder tank that goes in. Right now it's not in because I had to order a new one to replace it. The other one is back here on the back side of the quarter berth, and that's what we're going to use to hook up the head for the time being, because it'll smell better not using salt water. Hey gang, so we're done for today. We put in a couple hours on the boat. We get the Thruhulls patched up, and the other thing we're doing is you notice that I had a lot of blistering on the hull. Now, some folks recommended that I peel. Other people were like that, said don't do that. because peeling means that they completely grind away the entire gel coat layer, and sometimes even a layer on the fiberglass. Problem with that is, you know, once you take that much material out of the boat, you got to put it back on. Now, a lot of the blistering I have is superficial. You know, we popped them open, pretty much all of it. There's still a little bit left, but there's no fluid coming out, and there's no wet material really deep behind it. So what we done is took a section to do a test, and we basically, this section we pre-sanded over here, and we use Watertite epoxy fairing compound. Over here we did not sand beforehand, and we put the same Watertite epoxy, and we're gonna see how, you know, how it comes out better. And then down here, we decided to try thickened epoxy. So we took epoxy and mixed in fairing compound into it and batter it up and get it to about the consistency of a little bit more water than peanut butter. And we put it on, same deal. We sand it and put it on to see how it fills the voids and how it looks once it's dry. So now we have to let it dry for a couple of days, and then come back and test it and see if there's voids that were left behind, or did it cover pretty well and it sealed the hull back up. So if it works fine, then we should be able to just sand this down so we have a smooth surface to do the barrier coats. All right, folks, so that's our update for today. Thank you for watching. We'll keep posting these videos with our progress on Reverie as we continue to do the repairs and get it ready for sailing. Next on our list of to-do items is to drop the strut, take the shaft off, replace the stuffing box, repair the rudder, and get some of those things back on the boat. We still have to finish sanding and fairing the hull so we can paint it, put barrier coat and bottom paint on it to make sure it's as watertight as we can get it. And after that, we should be ready for splashing her back up. So stay tuned. Keep watching our refit land here at SV Reverie, and we'll see you guys soon.